Steering wheel, somebody tell him to give it to me.
There's something loose between my legs.
I don't know. Let go!
I'm heavier than a freaking boat.
Nothing he's could say can make that any better.
Yeah, nobody. No more radio for the rest of the race.
I'm going home. You.
Hello and welcome to DRS FC, an F1 podcast by soccer nerds. I'm Megan, and tonight I'm joined by Ebony. How you doing, Ebony?
Good. In Kansas, getting ready for this exciting game and exciting race.
Ooh, you committed the number one sin. You're in Missouri, not Kansas. I'm also joined by Donald. Donald, how are you doing
Just
tonight?
like 2 blocks that way.
So I'm neither in
us.
I am neither in Kansas nor Missouri. I am jealous. But on Monday, just like 36 hours too late, I will be in Viva Las Vegas, which is where this race is going to be.
And lastly, but certainly not least, we are joined by Deepti all the way in London. Deepti, how are you doing tonight?
I am doing wonderful, Megan. Let's go to Vegas, baby.
Viva Las Vegas. I promise that's the last time I'm going to sing on this podcast. So like we've all alluded to, it is officially Las Vegas GP
Until
time.
next time.
Until the next time. I shouldn't lie to our listeners. This week is Las Vegas GP, the beginning of a brutal triple header, which sees F1 go from the United States to the Middle East. I cannot imagine how you pack for such things, but God bless everyone that had to. We're going to do a quick little history of the Las Vegas GP. We're going to talk a little bit about the track, and then we're going to talk about what happened last year before diving into what chaos we think is to come this weekend. So last year was actually the first Las Vegas GP under that name, but fun fact, there was a race in Las Vegas in 1981 and 1982 called the Caesars Palace Grand Prix. Why was it called that? Because it was literally in the Caesar Palace parking lot. Folks have made fun of Miami for the Miami race for being in a parking lot, but I just think that's American GP history. And listen, what's not to love about going in circles in a parking lot, right? Who amongst us hasn't done that? Truly an American experience.
Exactly.
Basically doing donuts.
That's how everyone learns to drive.
Exactly.
We've all started in a parking lot.
And that's why vehicular homicide is so high in the United States. Just kidding. Back in the 80s, this was the final race of the year. Now it is towards the end of the season, but not quite the last one. Donald, can you tell us a little bit about this track?
Yeah, this is one of the most unique tracks in the world, and it's because, one, it's a street race, but also because of just the aesthetics that is the Las Vegas Strip. It is 3.85 miles long, and it's the second longest race on the circuit. 17 corners, and of course, down the strip, which is kind of a straightaway. It's 1.2 miles. It's basically a straightaway with a little bit of a bank curve to your left, and then another straightaway. A lot of opportunity for DRS in that sector. You know, the one thing about this race is that despite the fact that it's at night, and we'll talk about that in a second, and that it's normally kind of cold for being in Las Vegas, it is one of the fastest tracks in the circuit. Last year, the lap record was 1 minute and 35.49 seconds. That was by Oscar Piastri, and Charles Leclerc reached 217.8 miles per hour during the race. That was the fastest recorded speed trap speed in a Grand Prix all year long. So there's going to be guys opportunities to get fast, get a lot of ground. And the greatest thing for the fans is that there's a lot of chance for overtakes. There was 181 overtakes last year. It's not a race where it's like Monaco where people kind of hold their position for the majority of the race. There's going to be some racing on the straightaways, on the corners. And again, the one thing about it, it takes place at night on a Saturday. And if you think about all the races are usually on Sunday night or Sunday afternoon, this one's on a Saturday night in Vegas, a Sunday morning, very early on the East Coast here in the United States. But it is the only race since the 1985 South African Grand Prix to run on a Saturday. So it's a little bit different because the schedule kind of backs up a little bit. You're going to have stuff starting on Thursday for the drivers. So it's a little bit more of a truncated schedule because of the fact that for them, the race is on Saturday night.
And I will say, like, personally, my favorite race is Singapore because I just think it's so cool that it's at night and Singapore looks beautiful. It makes me want to go there just as much as Crazy Rich Asians did. And so while it is a bummer for those of us who live in the US and need to be up really late to watch this, it is really cool that it is going to be like the full effect of the strip. For as much as people complain about this being like in a very Americanized race, everybody who comes over from Europe wants to go to Vegas. So like if we're going to do it, if we're going to show it off, we might as well show it off with all the lights and all the fun. So
I would say 10 p.m. local time start feels like a stretch. And I know that's to cater to the European crowd. It's, I guess, a little bit early in the morning, not like quite stupid o'clock, but a little bit, closer to a normal o'clock that people get up. But every other race for the United States fans are at weird hours of the night. If you think about it, Australia takes place at 2 a.m. on the East Coast. I think the Japan Grand Prix is at 3 a.m. on the East Coast. And Las Vegas, which is in the United States, will take place at 1 a.m. on the East Coast. So it seems kind of weird. There is 4 hours of darkness in Vegas before this race begins. So we'll see if 10 o'clock steers, if they continue to keep it at this time slot. But for now, it is a very late night race for Vegas.
F1 never beating the British bias.
There you go. But I also wonder if part of it is just because Vegas is almost a city that never sleeps and it's always going to be busy. And so they have to absolutely true. That's it, right? They can't shut it down for too long. So they have to pick like what they might consider not the most dead middle of the night, but as close to that as you can get. I also just wanted to point out what you said about the time change. I did read something while I was just reading up about this race as well, that I think it was Mercedes, some spokesperson for Mercedes was talking about how the 10 p.m. start, like Donald, you were saying, it's still quite early here in England, and a lot of the teams have like their home base in England, and they have like the race support people stay back. They don't travel to all the races, and so the timing's weird for them too. Because they don't travel, they obviously have to like deal with all the time changes as well. And so they're like, yeah, we wouldn't prefer like a 5 a.m. start, but we got to do what you got to do. It's not as bad as Japan.
Yeah.
Well, Deepti, can you tell us a little bit about what happened in last year's race?
Yeah, so a lot happened actually. A lot happened in both the build-up to the actual race and the race itself. And I just want to start, well, first of all, it was last year, so we know that Max won. He won almost every race last year. But he also was probably one of the most like outspoken against this race, and in terms of how Vegas it was and how much they pubbed it. And he was just, he just seems like anti-fun, right? So it's like he was definitely going down that route. But I guess we need to start with what happened in free practice 1, because almost immediately, I think it was about 8 minutes in, we had our first big like casualty of the weekend, where Carlos Sainz randomly stopped on track. Nobody really saw what it was. And then when they saw the replay and we looked closer, it turns out that his car hit a loose manhole cover, which caused a red flag. It caused extensive damage to the floor of his car. And basically he had to get a new power unit as well. Later in qualifying, he would have qualified second, but because he got a new power unit, he had a 10 place grid penalty for that. Not entirely his fault. He drove over a loose cover that caused that much damage. I remember Fred Vassar's reaction to that immediately, and then in like post conference, he was just like, this is costing us a fortune, blah blah. Obviously he was very mad about that. So that was red flagged. There were massive delays. Actually, because of the debris, Esteban Ocon's car, also, I believe his floor and chassis were also damaged quite extensively. So there was...
Like spin off of it into the wall, right? Like, it wasn't that he ran over the cover, but I feel like the debris, like, clipped him and he had to, like, avoid it and, like, clip the wall in the same breath.
Right. Yeah, it was one after the other. So before, obviously, he could like stop with the red flag, he also got his car damaged, and that caused significant delays. I think so. Over a couple hours. I'm not sure exactly how long it was delayed, actually, but basically the stewards had to go around the entire track and check every single manhole cover and make sure that it wouldn't happen again. And they do inspections
well over 2
before.
hours.
Yeah. They do inspections before, and they said it was all okay. And so everyone was obviously like, okay, well, if it was all okay, why did this happen? And I think it was because they said that just the speed and force at which the car was going over the cover loosened something underneath, and it like cracked and like lifted the manhole cover up.
The other big controversy was that this track did not look ready to go. Like, they said that they had checked everything, but even 2 weeks before, there were a lot of concerns that maybe the infrastructure of the Las Vegas GP were not great. And so I think that kind of only served to like reinforce the narrative that this race was not going well, which was thankfully like completely overruled by how the actual race went. But it was just, Twitter was just a fire that night of people being like road boy shit.
I can confirm that I was in Vegas 2 weeks prior to this race last year. And 2 weeks prior to this race, that track was not finished. The walls were not finished. The retaining walls weren't finished. The like privacy like curtains that they tried to put over the walking areas of the strip so that people who didn't pay for tickets couldn't just watch the race from above the street. That wasn't in place. A lot of things were ready. Drivers did not know what was going to be shut down. So like cab drivers were sitting there saying, I'm taking the week off because they're telling me that basically all of Las Vegas is going to be closed because of this race. Hotels had no idea how people were going to get in. They were calling it Trafficageddon. It was going to be one of the worst traffic moments in the history of that town, and that town has seen some traffic.
Yeah, indeed. But Megan, like you said, the actual race was super exciting and super fun. And what happened? So in qualifying, Charles got pole. Carlos actually qualified in second, but like I said, he had the 10-place grid penalty, so he had to start in 12th. And Max qualified third, but because of that, he was bumped up to the front row, second. And then I believe Checo was next, then Esteban Ocon and Lance Stroll, I think. Basically, the race, as Donald mentioned, had so many lead changes and so many overtakes. And it was just, I don't think anybody expected it to go the way it did in terms of how exciting it actually was. But right off the bat, in the first turn or the first couple turns, Max kind of forced Charles off, basically to try to overtake him. And I think that caused a virtual safety car almost immediately. And Ebony, maybe you can jump in on some of the specifics of what happened, but what I remember is that there were a couple different safety cars. Charles was looking to be in the lead and looking to like be able to stay in the lead, but Ferrari did not time their like pit stop correctly, and because there was one of the safety cars allowed Max and I think it was George and Checo to be able to pit under the safety car and not lose as much time, it kind of screwed up Ferrari's tactics, and basically Max won. And then Charles had to settle for second, which was on the final lap and the final turn. Actually, he overtook Checo for that, so he did get P2, but he could have won had it not been for a little bit of a mishap.
I think the other thing about this race, going back to the free practice and how it was stopped because of the manhole cover coming loose, the second practice was delayed. It was supposed to start at midnight local time, and instead it started at like 2:30 in the morning. But they kicked everybody out, all the fans out at 1:30. And so the fans who had tickets for free practice 2 didn't get to see it. And so there was obviously it was 40,000 people who were like, yo, I got these tickets. I paid a grip for these tickets. Y'all coming up with some money or something. And so F1's response was to give them all conciliatory $200 credits to the in-track circuit store that was there on the circuit. But the problem is that it was closed because it was behind the paddock, and they were trying to figure out how to make it open. But then also they'd kicked everybody out anyway. So it was like, yo, I can't even come back to claim this. A lot of people ended up filing a huge class action lawsuit that I think is still pending in Vegas court.
The other big thing is a lot of people buy free practice tickets because they can't afford to go to the race or to qualifying. And so if you got that credit, but you didn't have a ticket for the rest of the weekend, you couldn't go back. All of that area was closed off. So it's like, even if the store had been open, you couldn't have gone back. It was just absolutely one of the most boneheaded, like the crisis management people were somewhere in a bunker being like, oh my God, you did what? You said what kind of thing on Twitter? And now they're going to pay some pretty money in lawyer fees over it.
And I saw that one thing was because, they had employees who were already overtime, and there's some laws, of course, about being overworked. But now it's almost like, have different volunteers, hire more people, and that would have saved you the money that it's probably you have to dish out with this lawsuit now. I think final standings were Max, then Charles was in P2, Checo P3. Because of that solidified Checo in the P2 of the Drivers' Championship, which was Red Bull's first 1-2, I think, at least in a long time. And then Esteban Ocon was P4. So he went up from, I think it was from P16 is where he started in qualifying, and went all the way up to P4. So he had actually a really good race after having that mishap in the free practice.
I always refer to the pricing of F1 when we do one of these, because it's so hard to get into an F1 race. I was very surprised when looking this one up, I'm not gonna lie, because it started out at like $4K, and that's why everyone was like, oh, I can't do that. If you look now, they're like $250 to go to the race.
That's what happened last year too. Yeah. It might be the I was saying when we were talking offline, that might be the move next year, is just to kind of hold this weekend open, and when they say $4,000 tickets, $2,000 tickets, you hold your ground and wait for that price to drop. And then like the week up, because like I said, I'm going to Vegas on Monday. My hotel's free. They were giving away free hotels for Saturday night and Sunday night on a lot of the strip, because they realized that their packages that they had put together weren't being bought by people, because they're like, oh, I can't afford all this. Like last year they offered me, and I'm like, I have some status at some of these hotels on the strip, or at least some of the big companies like Caesars and MGM. I got an offer for a hotel room that did not overlook the strip, but it was on a hotel on the strip. The hotel room was $41,000 a person, and you had to have at least 4 people in your room. That also did not include tickets to the actual race. I was like, I don't know who you think is going to buy that. You might get a couple of suckers, and that might be enough. But again, like 2 days before the race last year, I got an email. Free hotel rooms, just got to get out to Vegas. And of course, at that point, it's too late, because it was like $1,000 to fly out to Vegas for that particular weekend.
So here's what the move sounds like. We're going to hold the weekend next year, and then we're going to celebrate.
Exactly.
Yeah, my birthday's that weekend normally, so we'll just 34. That is a big year for celebrations, right?
Yeah, we're just gonna do it.
Instead of a Jordan year, I'm doing a Bo Jackson year. War damn. And so 34, baby.
My birthday is next week, so like it's a great time of year to celebrate. It's a great time of year to celebrate, and it's
round it off with the Friendsgiving.
Yeah,
it's right before Thanksgiving. Yeah.
We're meeting you for Friendsgiving, F1 Friendsgiving, F1 giving. Yes. I don't know. We'll workshop the next week.
It's Friendsgiving, but
the Friendsgiving with the F and the 1 with the I.
Yeah, the R is the first part of the R is just the 1, and then you just kind of use the Friendsgiving part.
All right, we're gonna keep workshopping this over our break, but when we come back, we'll talk about what we think is gonna happen this year. So let's talk a little bit about this weekend. I want to hear your predictions. Let's start with Donald. Donald, what do you think is going to happen this weekend?
First of all, we focus in on the races, right? And the different, the driver's race and the constructor's race. I really hope that Lando can stand on business, maybe conjure some gravitas and try to make Max have to earn this, because he only has to win by 3 points over Lando to secure the title. Yes, it's the writing's on the wall, but if I'm Lando, I'm trying my damnedest to make sure that wall is not on the Las Vegas Strip. I'm making him delay all the festivities for a week and whatever, and have him do that in Abu Dhabi or Qatar. But I think that's the key here, is you have to do that. But also, I think just Ferrari versus McLaren versus Red Bull, who's taken that couple weeks break that we've had and really decided to hone in on these last 3 races and really secure the Constructors' Championship, because that's what we're looking at here. This is going to be the race that I think separates one of those teams out of it. Like that's my predictions. One of those teams by the end of the weekend is going to be out of that particular race because they didn't have a good weekend.
Or, hear me out, Lando Max crash into each other. Charles P1. Many people are saying.
Oh my
That
gosh.
would, I think, still give Max the championship. But
God damn it.
Right.
I can't do that.
I do, honestly, anything, as long as like Lando finishes 4 laps, he'll do better than he did last year. So if you remember, like, he crashed actually quite badly on lap 3 last year. Had to be, like, his car was completely unusable. He went to the medic, got checked and everything, and he was fine. But yeah, I think I'm wondering if like there could be something mental going on there too. So I'm also curious to see how he does this race, because like we said, it's nighttime, it's in the desert, so it is cold. I think it is actually set to be the coldest GP of the year. And so cold means like the tires take way longer to heat up, so there's way less grip. And it's just a fast track. So it's not like a slip and slide like in wet races, but there's potential for a lot of spin outs and like braking, the brakes like locking and stuff. So a loss of control.
I think we've talked a lot about doubting Lando's mental fortitude, which feels like such a terrible thing to say about a human, but I'm just saying, like, he just hasn't always been as locked in and dialed in as he could be, and it seems like sometimes the mental aspect of his racing is maybe his weakest point. And so I'll be curious. Oh, go ahead.
Doesn't it go towards his team? Isn't that also
100% does? Yeah, it definitely is, and not making him feel comfortable and confident. It's definitely like a McLaren problem equally, but it'll just be interesting because we don't know.
But as we have discussed, right? Having dog in you is a binary component. you either have it or you don't, and Lando needs to show that he has it, because if he doesn't, this race is over. This championship is over.
I just
That
can't
means he's
picture
never winning.
Lando Norris. Yeah, I don't know that he can, but I can't picture him in a big dog t-shirt, right? Like I can't. That energy is not there. He's not rocking it. But you're right, Ebony. Like this is the year McLaren. When we do our postmortem on the season, I think it's going to be like 90%. Like why did McLaren squander this completely? Because as much as you can say, as much as you can say like Lando, you should have done a little better. Like it is just crazy how they have squandered both the Constructors' Championship and the Drivers' Championship, because they far and away have the best car.
And that statement that they released, I wish sadness on them for the next 3 races, because that was absolutely terrible. So you're telling me that you released a statement that said, we actually never believed in our driver anyway. We just wanted the faster car. And then you didn't even have the fastest car because now you're 3rd in the Constructors' Championship. So, are they 2nd or 3rd? They're 3rd, right? Right behind Red Bull?
They are.
McLaren right now?
McLaren is still in 1st technically. Red Bull's in 3rd because Checo's done so bad. But Ferrari is like, let's see how fast I can do math on the fly here.
36.
16 points behind.
36.
Oh, wow. Wow, I'm so off. Oh in real time, the listeners are realizing that I majored in liberal arts and not in math. Anyway, 36 points.
By the end of this,
Yeah, which
They could be.
conceivably, particularly since last year Ferrari did so well at this track, Charles was on fire. Carlos did super well in qualifying. Unfortunately, got hampered by having the new gearbox issue. So conceivably, they could make that up, particularly if Lando has a bad mental weekend, and particularly if Oscar continues. Like, Oscar hasn't been bad. He just hasn't been as good as he was at the beginning of the season. And that might not be his fault. It might be that everybody else has caught up to him and he just doesn't have as sizable of an advantage as he did at the beginning of the season. But it has been a little bit of a bummer to sort of watch him level out from being an absolute rock star at the beginning of the season to being like a very good driver still.
I honestly think it's Oscar following team rules now, because when they were like battling and like actually competing, he was lights out. But now that he has to follow the rules to get Lando what he needs, he's kind of stifled his process. And so now it's just kind of like, I'm racing. That's what you want me to do. It's like, I did what you asked. C's get degrees. That's kind of where he's at right now.
Yeah, and going back to what they said, the fact that they were like, oh, we don't prioritize a driver. There's no driver one. Like, they both go, and they still give Oscar team orders, and they still made him like give up a sprint race win. It's like, if you only care about constructors, which is what they said, and you only care about like both drivers equally, you wouldn't make him do that. So like, don't lie to us. We can see what you've done.
And stop lying to them.
True.
I think all of them need to get into a room after the season and thug it out, hug it out, whatever they need to do to get past this, because there are a lot of errors that, again, and the one thing is, as you mentioned, Abby, they don't want to look back in 3 races and go, shit, we lost both titles because we couldn't keep our hands to ourselves and we couldn't read the script that we were presented at the beginning of the season. And I don't know how they continue to shoot themselves in the foot and still be first place, but this might be the race that if they shoot themselves in the foot again, they will be out of first place in the Constructors' Championship. And I know they don't want that. I also think the one thing that's kind of cool, as opposed to last year where we knew everything was done, and this was just for glitz and glamour, that we have a kind of a race because of how Alpine did in Sao Paulo. We have a race for 6th place. And 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th are really separated. 6th, 7th, 8th are separated by 5 points. And then you have Williams at 17, where, again, if one of their drivers finishes in the top 10, then they can make up some ground very quickly. That'll be interesting because that will really determine, obviously, that split is what, a couple $100 million. So I'm sure they're going to be fighting like hell for 6th place, which underscores kind of the beauty of F1. That you still have this. It's not like in soccer sometimes like, oh, we got 8th place, okay, great, but here, like, getting 6th place, getting 7th place means something a little bit more, and they're fighting for it all the way through. So I think that's gonna be pretty cool.
For newer fans, there's kind of a pejorative term sometimes for that like mid-table race. It's called Formula 1.5. The argument being that they're so far behind the top teams. But honestly, I find that to be one of the strengths of F1, because even in a year where you have Max winning all of the things last year, it was still super interesting to see mid-table teams battle in and out. Personally, I'm actually kind of cheering for Alpine because they're powered by friendship, or at the very least, not absolute animosity of each other. And that is incredible that all it took was them doing kind of well in a race for them to be like, oh yes, we love each other. Look at all these images of us hugging and not staring daggers in each other and crashing. So I kind of hope that they are able to do it. I will say, like, haters corner for the off season, but I'm just saying, through observation, is Lando like teammate cancer? Danny Rick and him were supposed to be BFFs. Absolutely didn't happen. Threw a little fit, acted like he was too big time for Danny. Him and Oscar seem to get along. Then he does this, and part of it's the team too, but like, it is understood that in his contract he requested to be driver number 1, that they made those commitments, and that now things are not looking so great for McLaren. So like Donald said, it's going to be really exciting end of the season, even if Max does wrap it up here or in the next race. It'll be really exciting to see if Ferrari or Red Bull, for that matter, although it would take Red Bull having Checo do anything and looking even remotely alive in a car to get up there. But it'll be crazy to see the top three. It'll be crazy to see 4 through 7. It'll be crazy to see who's in last. And like Donald said, hundreds of millions of dollars separate all those places.
Checo is just there for Cirque du Soleil. That's all he's there for. Maybe to see the sphere. He's trying to see if he can maybe in his next career do F1 Cirque du Soleil and have that involve the car and everything. That's what he's there for. He's just there for he's a location scouting. That's what he's doing.
There you go. I hate to put a damper on the Alpine stuff, but I'm not confident in them this race. One, because clearly, like, their car is a boat. They do well in wet races. We're in a desert. It's going to be cold. It's going to be a fast track, but it's also going to be really dry. It's not going to go well for them. I'm calling it right now. Like right now, Donald, what'd you say? They're in 6th in the constructors, just 3 points ahead of Haas, and then 5 points ahead of VCarb. And so I think by the end of this weekend, I almost want to say they'll be back down to 8th. Just because the other two seem to do better. At least Haas has done better in like the faster races. Like this track has speeds that are similar to Monza. And Alpine this year didn't do well in Monza. They got like, obviously not in the points, but I think they were quite low as well, like even in the bottom 10. So unfortunately, I don't think it's going to be a good Alpine weekend.
One question that I have for the floor. We're looking at the bottom of the table here, and there's one team that stands out, and that's Kick Sauber because they have not scored a single point. However, last year, Valtteri Bottas finished 8th in this race. Is this the first points for Kick Sauber this weekend?
Ooh.
Okay, actually, can I do my Zoomy boy because I picked Valtteri?
There we go. Okay.
Take it away, Deepti.
Well, partially to what Donald said, like he did score points, and also just we talked about this, in the previous episode, like the interim episode of our podcast. He just did he does so many random things. He did an Ironman triathlon. He does like whatever his like ad campaigns are so funny in his house. So I picked him as Zoomy boy just because he's gonna have fun in Vegas no matter what happens on or off the track. I think it'll just be like Valtteri weekend. He'll be free. He'll be able to do what he wants, and maybe he'll drive well and score the first Kick Sauber points of the year.
This is a perfect segue into mine because it has nothing to do with racing. I just want Charles to have a fun time. For those of you who are not longtime F1 fans, one of the like fun content things that they do in F1 is that they'll do like Secret Santa for the drivers, and they release the video around Christmas, and they all get each other something. And something happened in Las Vegas before there was a Las Vegas GP, where Charles and Daniel did something that neither of them will talk about on camera, like how wild they got, but both of their presents were like Las Vegas themed. And they were like, haha, what happened in Vegas stays in Vegas. So clearly, Charles likes to have a good time in Vegas. And if you follow him on Instagram, all of his friends flew with him to the Vegas race. So while Drivers' Championship is probably out of the realm, I just hope he has a good time. I hope Buddy doesn't end up on TMZ doing something stupid. I hope that he enjoys legal substances, and then I hope he has a great time and he doesn't cheat on his girlfriend. Like, just have a good time. You're not going to win the Drivers' Championship.
He's crashing in lap 1.
No, Ebony.
They have reservations on the
Kimi Räikkönen. No, he's not pulling a Kimi and getting in a hot tub. He's going to finish the race, and then he's going to have a good time.
Nah, his race is over in lap 2. He's got reservations at some steakhouse. All of it.
No, that's Checo, man. That's not Charles.
What if they both crash? And they go to the reservation together. So by the time he gets to lap 25, they're already showered and cutting into their steak.
He is like friends, I think is the wrong word, but he has definitely gone to that Salt Bay restaurant before, and I think that guy has a Salt Bay in Vegas. So I wouldn't be surprised to see some Salt Bay driver content. So Donald, getting away from drivers having a little red meat party off the circuit, who is your Zoomy boy of the week?
So my Zoomy boy of the week is going to be Lewis Hamilton. I don't know why, but I feel like this is his moment to shine. He has 3 races left in Mercedes. He's already started the sayonara. You can even enter to be one of the fans that he lists on his car for the final race. So he's already thinking in that mode, and I feel like he's not going out sad. I feel like he's trying to go out with a big bang to kind of remind fans who he is and what he has been doing with Mercedes for a long time. And I feel like this is the moment. But I always say for Vegas, the reason why Vegas exists is for someone to shine bright under the lights. I think that's Lewis Hamilton.
And famously, Lewis, a vegan who doesn't drink. So a lot of Vegas is a lure, just not for Lewis Hamilton.
Well, he does the 0.0.
The ritual 0 proof alcohol, which is very good if you are a person who is interested in such things. It genuinely tastes like tequila. Also, like a point towards Lewis. I don't have this confirmed, but his dog, again, the things I know from following people on Instagram, his dog lives in LA full time. I follow his dog's, by the way, great follow. The Instagram account is written from the perspective of the dog, and I need to know if Lewis types it out, because it's like Dad's is here and it's like IV. So I need to know if he's like speaking for the dog. But Roscoe lives in LA, so I don't know if we'll get some Roscoe content if he goes to visit Dad or if Dad leaves him in LA, but it would be very exciting to have Roscoe as a good luck charm. All right, Ebony, give us your Zoomy boy.
I'm going with a team, and it is Haas, because I think it's going to be Austin 2.0 for them. They don't have to do anything crazy flashy, but I think they have a good race, whether that's 10th, 11th, 12th, whatever's good to them. I think they meet those expectations. And so I think they're going to really play into the crowd, especially being quote unquote the home Grand Prix. I know that's kind of Austin, but this is a second one for them. Like Miami's not for any of us. Miami's for the rich. And now apparently Vegas is for the affordable people. So didn't know that.
Who knew?
So,
Miami was for Logan Sargent.
Right. There we go. So that is my gloomy Zoomy boy. Woo.
All right. Well, she mentioned it. We got to talk about who's going to have a sad weekend. What's the Katy Perry song? Waking Up in Vegas. There's like a whole verse about it being sad in Vegas before you're happy in Vegas. So here's who my gloomy boy is. And friends, I'm sad to bring his name back into the conversation, but Daniel Ricciardo was made for Las Vegas GPs in the same way that he's made for the Austin GP. And it is a sad moment. As much as I like Liam Lawson, and that catchy Liam Lawson song that somebody made on TikTok is incredible, Daniel Ricciardo should be here. He should be throwing dice. He should be wearing sparkles. He should be doing his worst, best Elvis impression. I know he's living his life up. He's at the Buffalo Bills game last week, but it's just really sad that somebody with like such personality is not at this race, particularly when the leader of the Drivers' Championship is the no fun police and will absolutely not do anything kitschy or tacky in the way that you should about Vegas. And so for that, R.I.P. Daniel Ricciardo, you're not dead. We just miss you.
I feel like if he'd gone to a Bills game before driving in Vegas, he still wouldn't have made it to Vegas, because I've been to a Bills tailgate. Bills Mafia would have probably taken care of him, but the number of tables that man would have gone through on his own accord would have left him on the injured list for sure for Vegas. So, but also he probably would have showed up in a who was the guy who was the driver that has the Captain America Evel Knievel helmet for Saturday?
Is it Esteban? He does.
I think it's
Ocon
every year. I think it's okay.
Yeah, see, Ricardo would have done the full Evil Knievel outfit with the tassels. Like, he would have come out with that and said, and F1 would like, yo, you cannot wear that in your car. And he's gonna be like, watch me. I'm just gonna do it because it's Vegas. That's what he's gonna do. But yes, we're gonna miss Danny Rick's antics.
Isn't that where Bottas is for now?
Huh?
Botas. Is that what Botas?
Yeah, that is kind of what he's for. If you guys, again, I feel like I sound like I'm addicted to Instagram, but really F1 drivers are like the best thing to consume on Instagram because they're just chaotic people who never have had real lives. Botas's Instagram is him just doing like the most random shit right now.
Exactly.
And it's like all like the premise of the video is him being like, what's next? And then doing something completely random. That's how the home triathlon video started. And I get that he's like trying to clearly like pump a YouTube channel or like some show or something, but also, sir, like you're fish. So when you say what's next and then stare at the camera, I just am a little nervous. I would like you to tell me what's next because I don't want to see you getting harmed or like swimming with sharks or something to like up your content. Please let us know what is happening next. I will consume it. I just need to know.
He's gonna try and jet ski the Bellagio fountain. That's his next move.
That's his next
and
move.
see if he doesn't catch the fountain that and like get shot in the air. Like that's like the game here. He's gonna just try and figure eight the Bellagio fountain while it's going off.
Is the Luxor still there? The Luxor with the giant pyramid, is that still there?
Oh yes, that's where I'm staying. Yep.
Is wow. What room number, Donald? Sorry,
I don't know. I haven't checked in yet.
I promise. Isn't there like a Mission Impossible or one of those like off-brand ones where somebody like slides down the Luxor? I can see him doing that.
Yeah. There's got
like
be.
just repelling.
Chris Angel levitated over the light that beams from the top once.
What's next? Valtteri Bottas, mind.
Yes, exactly. Oh, yes, Chris Angel. Yeah, Chris Angel, Valerie Bottas. Like next.
You know what? I wouldn't put it past Danny Rick to show up in an Elvis costume and officiate a few weddings this weekend.
Oh yeah.
He's not driving now.
That's a good one.
That. Yeah.
Or Danny Rick face on the sphere.
Yeah.
Watching the
just
race.
watching the whole time.
Just sitting on the strip.
Who's writing these down?
Singing,
what are we
singing on the? We're recording this, so the people could do it. But like also, add us on our Twitter or Blue Sky or Instagram. Let us know what you think Danny Rick is going to be doing on the strip this weekend. I'm thinking karaoke on the strip, like one of those guys who are just like singing for it. Just has like a pail, and he might say like. Without car, need ride. So like some sign right there. And people won't know it's him.
Okay, what if Danny Rick finally gives the girls what they've been asking for? Danny Rick Magic Mike?
There is a Magic Mike. There is.
Wow.
There is. Don't ask me how I know this because I know all the shows on the strip. But there is an Australian Magic Mike show on the strip.
I think it's a perfect crossover. Engage a new audience. Come on,
yeah, we'll talk about that after. How do you know? No, we're just not.
We've lost the plot, so let's get us back on track. Ebony, tell me who your gloomy boy is, and Donald's gonna tag in on this one.
Lando, RIP to your season, to the Constructors Championship, to your hopes and dreams, to. You don't have the dog. You don't have the dog. You got the Chihuahua. You ain't got the fight.
It's not even Chihuahua. Chihuahuas are feisty.
True.
Can't do.
He's got the goldfish in him.
I was gonna say a greyhound, like a lazy creature laying on, but goldfish is even better.
A little
goldfish
whippet. Yeah.
That's it. Yeah. That's all for him. It's over. I appreciate his efforts, but not really because he sucked at the efforts at the end.
Right. I think he's my gloomy boy as well because in a weekend that he knows he needs to do something or it's over, he is going to do nothing. It feels like it doesn't feel like he has answered any bell in the last month and a half. And he might not. This is the thing. I don't know if you're looking at this track, you're thinking there's no possible way he could mess up turn one. But I promise you, he's going to mess up turn one. Like maybe not the first turn one, but that is going to be his downfall because he's going to see the lights of the of Sector 2 or Sector 1, the DRS zone, and he's gonna spin out right there in front of the sphere, in front of everybody, just in 4K. That's Lando. That's Lando this weekend.
I hate myself for this comparison, so you can't hate me any more than I already do. Lando is the Mike Tyson to Max Verstappen's Jake Paul. I will not be elaborating.
Will not allow that. Will not allow that at all. Nope.
That's
Nope.
that's diabolical.
No.
But am I wrong? Jake Paul and Max Verstappen.
No, the thing is, Mike Tyson has dog in him. We have seen that for 40 years. He just chose to take the money instead of the dog. The money said, keep the dog on the leash, and he said, all right, cool. Lando doesn't have a dog to unleash. That is his issue.
Mike Tyson literally showed his ass. That's all I'm saying. He literally showed his ass.
He did do that. That math, unfortunately.
Okay, Deepti, I need you to save us by hurting my feelings. Who is your gloomy boy?
I kind of alluded to this earlier, but I'm going to go with one of the Alpine boys. I'm going to say Pierre's gloomy boy of the weekend, just because coming off such a high, and I don't think it's going to go well for Alpine for the reasons I had mentioned before. And yeah, I mean, I feel like the best part of their weekend is going to be their new pink livery that they have showed out with their new, I think it's for the BWT sponsor, but yeah, they're like in bright pink and kind of neon to like match the Vegas strip lights. So that's probably going to be the best part of their weekend.
Sometimes you have to look pretty and not be good. That happens.
It's okay.
Well, friends, if you want to join us in watching this weekend, here are the times. These are all going to be in Eastern time zone, so feel free to adjust to where you're living. Free practice will be Thursday at 9:30 p.m. on ESPN Plus or on ESPN News. Free practice 2 will be Friday at 12:55 a.m. on ESPN2. Free practice 3 will be Saturday at 9:25 on ESPN Plus and ESPN News. Qualifying Saturday at 11:30 p.m. So you should post game the NWSL Championship with some qualifying, and then Sunday morning at 12:55 will be the Grand Prix. And the replay for that is going to be 8 p.m. So if you're like, I absolutely can't hang, just don't go on Blue Sky for a little bit and then check it out at 8 p.m. the next day. For all of us here at DRS FC, we're gonna pivot to Deepti really quick.
Sorry, I do have one more thing to say because I did notice this. And Meghan, I'm actually gonna have you talk about it more because I'm assuming you would know what the Ferrari challenge is, but that is happening this weekend as well. Kind of interspersed with all these events that are happening in the Grand Prix. And so I know there was some concerns about how that would affect the track. And yeah, like how we had talked about how last year it looked like the track was almost like not done on time and there was a bit. So these are different types of cars. It's a different race. They also have, I think, like a practice, a qualifying, and a race. So there's going to be like way more cars on the track and like using it than normal. And so it could potentially mess up the surface a bit. So something else to throw a wrench in the works.
Yeah, and just for those of you who aren't aware, the Ferrari Challenge is kind of like this interesting thing where they'll have professional drivers, but they'll also have Pro-Am drivers. So like famously, Dr. McDreamy from Grey's Anatomy participated in this one time because he's like super into race cars, but he's not a professional driver. So yeah, that could definitely cause some dramatic moments, but hopefully not any dramatic crashes in a bad way, but only in a good way. Chaos, but not the bad kind of chaos. Chaos in the fun kind of chaos way, like Loki chaos, not like the presidential election chaos. I feel that deeply as an American. But feel free to tweet, Skeet, God, I hate that word so much, or
Skeet.
Instagram at us. And tell us what you think the drivers are going to get up to this weekend in Las Vegas, or your thoughts on the race. And we'll be back with a race recap later next week. And for that, Meghan signing off with a vroom vroom.
Skeet.
Oh God, cool.
Ebony and I on the same page.
I knew it was gonna happen. One of these MFers was gonna say Skeet. I knew it.
Skeet.